all that stuff. I'm not worried about developing guys or any of that. That is what it is. And like I said, I hope he does develop. But I don't look at that as my job. My job is to go win football games for this football team.
Flacco looks well rested and kind of tan. Did you see him on vacation?
Handsome as hell. That's right. He was in the next cabana.
What do you make of Joe Flacco's comments there about his role in mentoring Drew Lock? I know it's part of the game. It always seems awkward to me.
It's funny when you see the quotes, they're a lot different in print than when you see them on camera. Joe Flacco's an NFL starting quarterback. He is traded to the Denver Broncos to be an NFL starting quarterback. And you would want him to say, oh, I'm going to take Drew Lock and this is my He's not an NFL backup. He's the starter. So he's just getting the playbook for the first time. And it is a windfall for him. New situation. He's got to get a new home. His family, with all their kids are moving out there. The last thing he should be worried about is mentoring. He's got to get his own stuff going. So for me, you talk to the Ravens people, there's no better teammate than Joe Flacco. He never got in the way of Lamar Jackson. If anything, he made sure Lamar Jackson in that transition was as smooth as possible. This is not someone with Malcolm, but I also like the competitive spirit in it. Drew Lock's a second-round pick. I was a first-round pick, and I've got a Super Bowl ring. That's what he's saying. What are we talking about here? I was traded here to be the starter, and look, you look at Flacco's quotes last year when Lamar was taken, he didn't say, I'm here to take... No, the same exact thing. I'm here to worry about myself, and I'll get there. But
yeah, that's true.
He's never going to be in the way of Drew Lock, but I also don't think for a team that hasn't been to the playoffs in 3 years, for a quarterback who hasn't been there in several years, he's not worried about the future or the guy behind him right now. He's got to get his own stuff in order, and he's got to fight for his career.
I think people want to say that this is like a McCown-Darnold situation. It's not that.
It's not.
And you're saying that Elway was speaking highly of
Elway loves him. Elway literally said when they signed him, we think he's coming into his prime. Now, maybe he was getting a little loose, but I think Elway means, like, he's good. He's going to play for us. And I just think, like, the Lamar thing last year makes it so much more compelling. It's like that John McClane, like, how can the same thing happen to the same guy twice? I'm here. And I remember last summer, Flacco was sitting down with Kurt Warner at training camp, and it's the same kind of sound bites. I'm here to win games. I got to do this. And the fact is, like, you know who he's thinking about right now? He's thinking about, like, Joey Bosa. How am I going to outdo Mahomes? Like, I got so many problems bigger than Drew Lock. I think that this mentoring relationship is a little bit make-believe, that we all get
What are you
caught up
saying
in.
by that?
What I mean is, like, I think we're in trance with this idea that as film session's about to end, Fox, and be like, hold on a sec, Drew, sit down here. I just want to show you what... No, he's doing his own thing, and his point is like, you know how I'm going to help him? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to start 5-1. I'm going to throw the ball all over the field. And if he wants to watch me, that's fine. But I'm not his tutor. We have 50 different coaches on staff to help Drew Lock. I'm here to help Joe Flacco and John Elway. I think it's a nonsense thing about deliberately tutoring quarterbacks beneath you. I don't think it happens.
If Big Ben had said it, would we be acting differently today? Would we be up in arms?
Would we be shocked?
Like, would we say, no, if Big Ben said...
Oh, if he said, I'm not going to do it.
Would it all of a sudden be Big Ben's a bad guy? Does Flacco get the benefit of the doubt? Like, no one is assuming that Flacco is coming from a place of ill will here. It's just he's a competitor. But if Big Ben says that, suddenly it's Big Ben's a baby, Big Ben is a... You know, they took a third-round quarterback last year.
He can't handle it. He shipped him out of town.
Roethlisberger loses a lot of that clout when he constantly flirts with retirement. Like, Ben, if you say you're going to leave, we have to bring someone in. I don't get that from Flacco.
Yeah. It's always an interesting case study. And then the other interesting part of this is that we have a different case study in the desert this year with a quarterback that does not have a set veteran who's had success in the league ahead of him. You got Kyler. They get rid of Rosen, was a top 10 pick last year. He's now with the Dolphins. And it's Brett Hundley there, who has not done much in this league. Are we worried about the lack of I'm not going to use the word mentor, just the lack of the presence via osmosis, gaining some of that knowledge, seeing how it's done, a la what your boy Daniel Jones has with a two-time Super Bowl champ here on the East Coast.
Oh, well, I'm also worried about, so you're telling me we have like the smallest franchise quarterback of all time who runs all over the place, and there's no one to come in if he gets hurt? Do you remember there used to be the yellow pages, okay? That giant 12-inch thing they would drop on your front door.
I've stood on them many times, yes.
Sure, you stand on them all the time. I think the Cardinals need to get the yellow pages and look up backup quarterback and go to that fraternity. Where are the Drew Stantons, the Charlie Whitehorse? What's Billy Volek doing? We need someone. Of course, we need a professional backup like the classic Brian Hoyer archetype. And it ain't Brett Hundley. Maybe he'll go on and have a great career, but we need a break glass in cases of emergency. Kyler's out a month, and we got to go 2-2. And I think that they will, because that's nuts. I mean, I know they're all in with their coach and their quarterback. You got to have some insurance policy.
We started the show yesterday talking about this a little bit. I think it really bleeds into this, but Nate said that Kingsbury was going to be his backup quarterback and in the room, basically, by saying he's going to be the one in his ear. And I said, Nate, you agree? There's so much that Kingsbury has to deal with right now. He's a first-year coach. He's got a GM and owner. He's got a defense to worry about. He's got a tight end. Kingsbury can't be in Kyler's ear. So who is? The guy's name is Tom Clements. Tom Clements was Aaron Rodgers' quarterback coach for years. He was with the Packers, and they hired him. He's a very senior guy. But he's not a backup quarterback. He hasn't been through the wars of Josh McCown. He hasn't been through the battles of, say, like you said, a Brian Hoyer, where I need to be in any situation. A Matt Castle.
Mark Sanchez.
There are so many of these guys that I am shocked that there's not I know Derek Anderson retired over the weekend. Derek Anderson, come out of retirement. We can use you in Arizona. Brett Hundley can't be that senior voice when moments are getting rough right there on the sideline that he can turn
But
to.
do you guys think that sometimes if these veteran quarterbacks aren't as helpful and aren't mentors and aren't giving them their notebooks, then maybe it's just as helpful to have a guy who's not at the quarterback spot but is a veteran that will take him under his wing, like a Larry Fitzgerald, or a veteran now in the league that carries himself like a David Johnson. It's not the same position, but I mean, to me, Larry Fitzgerald, that's who I'd go to maybe anyway, even if there was a quarterback in that room.
3rd and 8, cold weather.
Yeah.
I can't get the play in. Larry Fitzgerald's not worried about it.
I think
Yeah.
for the media, for how to conduct yourself, that's a godsend. I just wonder who is that guy. Listen, we're on different pages here. I actually do think Kingsbury can talk to him how to play the position. Guys, it's a buzzkill. Do you understand there's a very high likelihood that Kyler Murray might get banged up at some point? Who's coming in for
So you're worried about the actual
And never mind
on
the mental
field.
part of it. I'm worried about this. He hurts his shoulder and he's out for a month. Like, someone has to come in. There's no one there at all in the NFC West is going to help them. That's very concerning.
Hashtag GMFB with your thoughts. Facial hair. Matt Patricia, he was on our show.
Yeah.
He has some of the best in the league.
Trimmed it,
of
but
course.
still looks
And
good.
Here's the rookie, though, that's going to shut the thing down in the league. Does he keep
Who
it?
we
Does
got?
he not keep it? This guy, right here.
It's my guy.
Wait a second.
Wait till you see him. We'll get his helmet off. But Gardner Minshew has one of the greatest. There it is.
Okay.
Don't get rid of it, Minshew. Don't you do it. And